Hello, I'm delighted today to be joined by Jirsch. She's a psychic and she's also a fabulous coach. She taught me how to do past life regression and future life progression. And she's an author of 5 books, one of which is being re-released, isn't it, Anne? Coming up soon.
It is. So in a
Yeah.
way, that's going to be number 6, but it is third book being re-released. But I'll explain why, because that's yeah,
Yeah.
unusual.
So, Anne, why don't we start off with how did you, obviously with the show being called Your Future Is Now, how did you get into all of this future work and future life progression, which is something that you've really pioneered, isn't it, in the last 10, 20 years?
Yeah, over 20 years now. Well, I started off reading tarot cards. But I started off as a kid around my grandmother, who was a fortune teller. So I was always very curious about how it all worked.
Mm,
And I used to try and be psychic, and nothing ever happened, ever, ever, ever. So when you do something naturally, you don't usually know how you do it. So it's been much better in a way that I wasn't naturally intuitive. So I had to go and find out how it works. I've spent most of my life sussing out how things work. How do
mm.
we do this? How do we get that intuition? How do we know? Rather than just wait for the odd lucky fluke that we knew. So spent my life so read cards, built up a client base. You know, you do anything consistently, hairdressers, chimney sweep, you'll build a client base. I built my client base. I had a big fascination for past life regression. I just back then we didn't have the internet, because I've been around a long time. We didn't have the internet, and every so often I'd come across somebody that had been regressed, and it was just I was just so captivated by their stories, and it made so much sense to me. Reincarnation just made sense. Past lives, when they tell their story, you go, oh, that's why that's happening in your life. That's why you're scared of guinea pigs or whatever it is. You know, it all kind of made total sense. So, but we couldn't just Google people. It took me years. I couldn't find anybody that did regression. They'd give me
Mm.
a number and go, I went to so and so. You ring the number, it's gone. You couldn't track people down so easily. Look in Yellow Pages was
Yellow
the best.
pages.
Yeah, all that time ago. So eventually, an amazing woman called Denise Lynn came over from America. She did a huge, I think it was 800 people in the room, and it
Wow.
was mind-blowing experience. It was just so. What was funny was she said she didn't think it went very well in London because she'd only played American audiences. Of course, they're freaking out, and shrieking, and melting down, or whooping and standing on the chairs. And we all went, "Oh, thank you. Oh, that
Yeah,
was really
very
nice." And we all,
reserved British people.
yeah. And she said a few weeks later, she had all these letters arrive and went, "Oh, they did like it." You know, it was mind blowing. I still think she's the best. I just find her absolutely brilliant. Um, so I happily worked with that for a number of years, and it wasn't until a couple of military fellas come to me, and they said, "We keep getting the feeling we've had past lives before. We keep hearing about you." And what it was, there was one lad who was working with them, a young soldier, who used to pop in. He was
Mm.
curious and he didn't want to tell the others. So he'd come and got a book I can borrow. And you had the little cassette tapes back then,
Yeah.
borrow a cassette tape. So he'd come in and he'd ask me questions. You know, it's like when you've got nobody to talk to.
Yeah.
And one day they saw one of the books I'd lent him and went, "Oh, you interested?" And he ended up telling them. They started coming to see me. Um, and we found that these two soldiers had lifetime after lifetime after lifetime around each other. They were Vikings, Native Americans. They were in
Wow.
pre-war London. It just went on and on. And I'd take them in separate. One had come in, then the other. They wouldn't be able to collaborate, but they kept seeing the same sort of storyline each time, which
Wow.
was mind blowing. And then they said, "We've seen you in one of our," I taught them regression in the end. I went, "You always come in. I'm going to show you what to do." So I just taught them in the end. Um, and they said they saw me in one of the regressions they did themselves. And so I got somebody else to supposedly take us all back, because they kept saying, there's something we're meant to know, something we're meant to be doing.
Mm.
One of them used to call me a spiritual mama. I mean, it's great big Scotty calling me a spiritual.
I love it. Love that nickname.
It's better than the few I've had, I must admit.
Oh.
And so I got somebody else to take us back, and that's when we all jumped forward. And we didn't know we jumped forward at the time. We kind of thought we'd got it all wrong, and it had all gone wrong, because we saw the attack on the Twin Towers, and that was 3 weeks before it happened.
Wow.
And we all saw different aspects of it, but we very much saw it. So when it happened, we were kind of quite not we were quite shocked, but almost like, what was the point? If there's nothing we can do about it, what is the point, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and so I think we were quite shaken up by it because what's the point? Mark Twain said, "What's the point of seeing a little bird?" That they somebody said to him in the Bible, it says God sees every little bird that falls, and he said, "What's the point of it seeing it fall if you don't
If you
save it?"
can't do anything
Uh,
about it, yeah.
yeah, so it was nothing like it had ever happened before, but I think it was Dave saw two skyscrapers next to each other, smoke coming out, helicopter going round, and he's going, "There's a helicopter going round." Oh, it's CNN. This must be America. It's all people on the ground running. It's dust.
Oh,
And
I got
then
chills.
actually, no, that was Steve. Then Dave said, I've not gone back, but I'm looking out over a bay in America. And he said, it's like the skyline has changed. How can a
Gosh.
skyline change? And he couldn't quite work it out. And I kept saying, well, I'm seeing Middle East. I'm seeing Middle East and a pipeline and oil. So it all just seemed a bit of a jumble.
Yeah.
I was at the office and they called me up when it happened and just said, quick, put on the news. And for a while we were quite shaken up to say, because we didn't know enough to change anything. But
Mm,
then we started to experiment, just the three of us, and we consistently, time and time again, wasn't the odd fluke. We kept seeing the future. So we saw one of them working with Dave. I remember he said, I said, will they find bin Laden?
mm.
And he said, they're not looking. At the time, everyone was, where's bin Laden? And
Yeah,
I
I
knew where he
remember.
was. I'd actually remote viewed him. I knew where he was. He was up the Kuiper Pass. I put a little cross on the map, but nobody was
Wow.
really looking for him. That he said, nobody's looking for him. Um, they, meaning America, I think, are busy getting ready to invade Iraq. And we laughed. Honestly, it sounded ludicrous. Then he said, they are going to say they have weapons of mass destruction, but they know they don't. That is what his words. Then he
Whoa,
said,
Anne.
this bit's really important because it's not happened yet. He said, then they're going to go after Iran and Syria. And Syria's always coming up. So,
It is,
and
yeah.
he said there's a 23-point plan to take over the Middle East. That's what he said.
Wow.
I know, it's just that.
Gosh.
So we kept predicting things. I mean, one of the predictions was a black president,
Yeah.
followed by, and everyone's saying Hillary Clinton. No, she ain't there. There isn't a
No.
female president, not in that time frame. Black president, followed by a blonde president. And we just kept making predictions and amazing things. And we were kind of like, wow. Then I started to experiment with clients and we'd taken forward 5 years. And this is the bit that really got me. Go forward and they say, oh, I'm no longer working for that company, or I'm still at that company and they didn't give me the promotion they promised, or I'm in a new car, or I've started a new business, or that was a waste of time, or whatever. What really got to me was they were calling me up months later saying it's happened. And it's like we were getting the best of the future and bringing it into our current consciousness because we were going forward and experiencing it. We were creating it. And that's what I think the manifesting is all about.
Right,
You
right.
go into a
Okay.
future. Yeah. And you bring that energy back to now. Look at you sitting there now. Think of something you're good at now that you weren't 10 years ago, you felt daunted by. If you could go back and show your past you and get your past you to feel it, experience it, and go, look, now you're really good at this, you do it much sooner.
Mm, mm.
So it's kind of like we were bringing the best of the so clients were calling me up and I've met the guy, I've met the guy.
Wow.
And
Wow.
I always said, a little rule here, if I show you the future and you get married, you have to invite me to the wedding. It's a little rule we
So
have.
how many weddings have you been to then?
I've been to a few, and I went to that one. She was my first. And the newspapers wouldn't come near it to begin with. I didn't get any coverage for the first couple of years. Then once I had one, that was it. We're never out of the press.
Yeah, yeah.
But Woman's Own was the first, and they called up and said, "Oh, we've heard about what you do. Um, would you take somebody forward, see their future, and we'll send a journalist to write about it?" So I went, okay. So they come. She's a very pretty girl, Mandy. So they took a photo of her. And it was funny because it didn't come out for 6 weeks. It came out 6 weeks after we did that. And she said, "Oh, I've seen my future husband. He's like an Asian George Clooney," which we thought was funny.
Okay,
Um,
nice.
yeah, she described her kitchen, what he did for a living, what he was wearing. 6 weeks later, the magazine come out and they have their resident skeptic who went, "Oh, this is just fantasy." She'd already met him.
No way.
Yeah, she'd met him, met his family. So when the magazine come out, I said, "You better let him know because somebody recognised you," because it's a massive picture, a really lovely picture.
Mm.
And so she called him up. So he went out and bought the magazine, read it, and he said, "As soon as I saw you, I knew I was going to marry you." They were at a wedding. Um,
Oh,
yeah. Oh, you're a romantic,
I
aren't you?
am, I am. I love that.
Oh, I've got lots of these stories. But I think because this was the first one, the first time we got publicity, and he said, "The only thing that shocks me is I'm wearing today the outfit you described."
Oh my
He's standing there
goodness.
going, "This is what I'm wearing today, and it's new clothes. You couldn't have known that
Wow.
beforehand." It was just,
Wow.
yes, I went to their wedding. Yeah, I went to their wedding.
Gosh, that's
Yeah, it was,
amazing. And you talk about in your books how you've used it for some of your manifesting that you've have you taken yourself into the future or did you have
yeah.
someone else take you forward?
Sometimes I get one of the practitioners to take me forward. That's quite nice. And sometimes I do that to see where I'll be working. I need to know what countries are coming up, and that's quite nice. So um,
Mm,
you get an email or a phone call from somebody going, "I'm in such and such a country. Would you consider coming over? I've been waiting for you. We've been
yeah.
expecting you." So that's really nice. So you can prepare more. I think
Mm,
because the new book coming out, Manifesting with Cosmic Energy, that book I wrote it over 10 years ago, Cosmic, and it did really well. It went ballistic, in particularly in certain countries. I can't remember how many languages it's in, but quite a few languages. So it did really well. How I wrote that book, so I had a 3-book deal. The first book was about intuition. Second one, The Future Is Yours, is about FLP. The third one, they wanted it to be a different subject. And you know how this works. I went for a walk, and everywhere I looked, there was something to do with energy, energy, energy. So I thought, well, the book has to be about energy. So I
yeah.
started doing meditations going forward 100 years, 200 years to see what we know in the future that we need to know now. Because all at the time, all the spiritual books were like the same. They all said the same thing. They're all rehashes of each other. And I thought,
Mm,
I don't want to just write another book about energy. So I went into the future and I learned all the stuff that I had never seen before. That's why people love the book.
wow.
One of the things when you're working in the future, you can be a bit ahead of the game. So it's quite funny. You can often, the amount of times I've worked with people, especially in business, and I've said to them, you might well see a brilliant idea, and everyone will go, "Pff, a year later they're all doing it." So just have that awareness. You might be a little bit too far ahead of the curve. You've got to wait for the curve to kick in,
Mm,
but you'll
mm,
still be ahead of the game. So yeah, the book did really, particularly in Sri Lanka, it went ballistic in Sri Lanka. I've still
wow.
not been there, but still waiting for my invite.
Yeah. It'll
Well,
be
they
coming,
keep saying
Anne.
they're going to invite me out, but they've had some, the country's had a lot of upheavals, unfortunately. But I will go out there because it'd be fabulous because I've got a huge, huge following there from that. It's been
Yeah,
wonderful.
that'd be
But
amazing.
of course, it's coming out again because you're ahead of yourselves. I've almost had 2 bites of this. So um the, and I'm not even with that publisher anymore. And they said, we really want to bring the book out again with a different title because it's a hot topic
It
now.
really
This
is,
is
isn't
the
it?
hot topic. Yes. I said,
Mm.
great. Yeah, great. So that's book number 6 in a way, but it's number 3 out. So I
So
haven't
that
had to
comes out
write
next
it.
week, doesn't it? And it's called The
Yeah,
Power of Manifesting.
that's it. You're better than me. I was trying to remember the new
That
title.
you've got the tagline. I didn't write the tagline down. So yeah, the idea of manifesting, it's been around for ages, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And I'd like to know your take on manifesting because I think a lot of people think that they just sit there and that they just kind of wish for what they want, put the
People
wish out
get
to
the
the
hump.
universe, and then it's just going to show up on their doorstep.
They really do. People get the hump when I talk about it, but I just sort of say, I had a girl contact me. She dropped me an email, and it was the maddest email because she said, "Right, you know how to do this. I think I should have £1 million and a big house, and you know how to do it. You have to tell." I've no idea who this bird is. Never
Oh
met
my
her in my
goodness.
life. never spoke to her. You have to tell. I went, yeah, yeah, I don't have to do anything and be polite.
Mm.
So I went back and I said, lady, if I knew how to manifest £1 million, I wouldn't be working 40 nowadays. She didn't find that funny. And the people around me, I had people in the office that day helping. They went, never answer because people
You're
get
engaging in
really,
a conversation then, aren't you?
yeah, you
Yeah.
really get drawn in. She
Mm.
come back. This was her reply. She said, I think you're wrong. Okay, well, why are you asking me then? I think you're wrong because look at that there, Jerry Hall. This is what she said. All she does is hobbies and gets money from her husband, Mick.
Oh,
And
Jerry Hall, who's married to Mick Jagger.
yeah.
Oh.
So yeah. So I wrote back and went, she was actually rich before she met him. She was the first supermodel. And as far as I know, she was actually the breadwinner for a while when he was building up the
Yeah.
band. And I know I met her at a party. The weird thing is, I had not long met her at a party. We're
How
both
funny.
queuing up for the loo at a party. How mad is that? I had to let her go in front 'cause it's like the Queen, isn't it?
Yeah.
It
Did you
was
talk to her or
scary.
were you a bit kind of like starstruck?
No, I've only been starstruck a couple of times, and they're very rare. It's more with scientists or super business people. I'm starstruck, not by
Mm.
singers, and yeah, it's more. I think the super clever scientists or big business people that wow me.
Yeah.
Then I get a bit
Like, yeah.
because
So
I'm
you
not
you
educated.
work with people in business, don't you? How
Yeah,
do
I
you
do.
help them with looking into the future and how does that help their businesses? Have you got any stories?
Often it's just pulling out cards, but I do go ahead and have a look for them. Now and again, I take them for, but they usually want me to do it. They usually go and have a look, go and have a look. So,
Right.
um, excuse me, losing my voice. We one we're working on at the moment. I can't say too much because it's just got the okay on it. But a movie, and we've been talking about it for 3 years. We absolutely so they come up, we come up with the idea, but I can often see the detail. No, that's what the lead actor's like. No, that's where it's filmed. No, that's I can often fill in all the gaps to get it so it's really, really good. So
Mm.
um yeah, I can often go and have a look. I mean, I remember once one movie I was working on and they said the lead actress was a nightmare. She stomped off, nobody could get hold of her, and they said, we're gonna have to get somebody else because she's just gone. And I went, she'll be back in 2 hours, and she was, and then she was fine after that.
How funny. Gosh,
It's
that's
those little
amazing.
gaps that I need to, yeah, just them little gaps that I fill in, or I might go, oh, I've just caught a glimpse of what you're going to be doing next, or who you're working with. So I often have them insights. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's super super exciting. Yeah, super
Yeah.
exciting to work with business people. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. So how have you tapped into your future? Have you got any kind of stories about how you've made this work for you? I mean, you kind of come across to me as quite a go-getter anyway. You know, you went off to India when you were like 18 years old. Like I literally couldn't imagine doing that when I was 18.
Nobody travelled back then.
No.
You thought you were an international jet setter if you went to Spain. So people didn't, but because I come from that proper working class background, back then you get a job, you get engaged at 17, you'd get a council flat, you'd have a kid, you'd work part-time. That was your entire life. And I just thought, no, I've got to travel. I need to travel. And I
Mm.
also really wanted to find out how spiritual things work. We didn't have the internet. You couldn't even get spiritual books back then. There was one shop in London, Watkins, and they're now my publisher. So how's that for?
How funny.
Yeah, but we'd save up money and go to the one place. You didn't have any of these books, self-help, any of that in your local bookstore or in the library. In the library, you might get sort of Dale Carnegie or Norman Vincent Peale, Power of Positive Thinking. You
Yeah.
might get that. That was about all you would get. You wouldn't get anything else. Everything else was quite deep or novels or whatever.
Mm.
So yeah, so yes, I tap into my future all the time. Um, I regularly do, and I'd like to do it and going to sleep at night. Just go and go jump forward a little bit and get some insight into
Mm.
where I'm going or what's the bit. I'm challenging myself on is to, okay, you have that. How much bigger could you see? No, no, no bigger, no beyond that, no bigger. I'm kind of pushing it more all the time, if you see what I mean.
Right. As in bigger than yourself, as in
Yeah,
what's
yeah, big.
happening in the country in the future, what's happening in the world, that
Yeah,
kind
well,
of
the thing
thing.
is, I am toying with the idea of putting on some sort of a day of making the world a better place, bringing in a few people. I think that might just a free event, a number of us,
Mm,
5 of us or something, get up and do something, do it as an online event. I thought that might be quite nice. I've got downloads up. One of the downloads is See the World in 100 years' time. I have another one that's the world in 50 years. I'm losing my voice today and I don't know why. Me talking all the time. 50 years time, but where that's I like that one a lot. It's on my website.
Mm,
Um, See the world in 50 years' time. And you ask several things: economy, environment, how are people, any areas of the world you're drawn to. Then you have a second look, best possible future for the world. Best possible.
mm,
What's different about it? What do we need to know now? What's your part to play? And I really like that one. But yeah, no,
yeah.
I'm always looking forward. I mean, because cosmic energy, because I learned with cosmic energy to be sending my mind into the future. I'm doing that all the time. But what I'm more inclined to do now is work with other people. So say if I work with an engineer or an inventor or
Mm,
or a healer, it's more it's not so much for my work, it's more what can we do collectively, or
yeah.
somebody in a position who can do things that I can't. What
Yeah.
information can we get there? So I want to do more group, more bigger stuff.
Yeah. Do you predominantly work one-on-one with this then, or is it something that's quite applicable to groups?
It any of it. Yeah. I mean, I do have one-to-one clients because I've been around a long time having clients, some for cards, some for FLP. So yeah, I regularly have clients, but I do a lot of workshops and
Mm,
interviews and various other things, or writing stuff, put videos out. So I'm not just seeing clients all day, every day. I don't do that anymore. But I see a number of clients a week. I think it's good for you. It keeps your mind into what you're doing. You learn from every client you see.
mm. Yeah. Have you got any stories about any clients that have kind of been taken to the future and they've seen, I don't know, a house that they're going to be living at, a job they're going to be doing, a
The
partner,
the
or
property I think is one of the biggest because I've got a number of I mean if something doesn't work, drop me an email because the website's falling apart and I'm getting something. We're just redesigning
are
it.
you
I,
redesigning your website?
I hate saying that because people, whenever you talk to therapists, they're always redoing their website.
Yeah.
That's all they do all day. But years later, they're still redoing the web, and I
Still
take the
tweaking
mickey
it.
and I'm redoing. Now I'm doing it.
I love it.
Yeah, no, I'm doing it. Um, Sorry, what was it you was asking me? I went off there.
Just about like stories from your clients. So, and you were going to talk about houses?
Yeah, property is yeah, on the website there's your future home. I've sent you a copy of the link. Um, Out of all the free stuff on my website, that gets downloaded 5 times more than all the rest put together. So people
Gosh.
really want, because uh, advisors of mine went, "Oh, you should charge for that download," and I go, "No, let people have it. Let them see their future home because it's the biggest investment. And if you get it wrong, it's horrendous." I think
Yeah.
all of us live somewhere where we go, "Oh, the neighbours," or "This is awful," or "The place don't feel right." Getting the home
Mm,
right is so important. So yeah, one of the things I work with is also with companies, help them find the new locations of where they're meant to relocate or open up new areas. That works really well. I mean,
mm.
a really big company, a really big businessman, his staff come to me, all his key people, and he sends, "You're going off to the Middle East for 3 years." I mean, this guy has really got these, and they know me. And he keeps hearing my name. It's quite funny because they'll go, I remember a few years back, one of them said, "Anne said we're going into Japan." He went, "No, we're not." He's got Anne said, anyway, 6 months later, they're all in a meeting. So, yeah, we've just had some information and these people have contacted from Japan. It looks like they went, "Told ya." And told you. And
Oh,
yeah,
brilliant.
all these senior directors all over the world, and a lot of them come to me, and he's like, keeps
Yeah.
having my name pop up. "Yeah, I know who she is. Yeah."
Yeah.
does.
And then I guess they get that validation and then they just keep coming back.
Mm, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
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 Well, I find people at the top, there's been a number of studies that show people at the top use their intuition far more than people lower down. Um, Number of studies, and they're double-blind studies, so the people taking part don't know what the
What's being
scientists
tested.
are actually looking for. So
Yeah.
it's shown up that one study was 10 years long, so they really went in depth and found that they use their intuition. But one thing I find with people at the top, they'll try something out because if it gives them the edge, they always want that edge. I can remember great Paul Getty was the biggest industrialist of his day, and he brought in dowsers
Mm,
to find oil.
gosh. And that's a like an ancient technique, isn't it?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
amazing.
I guess all of this is actually, isn't it? And
Yeah,
even with like the energy work, the like Native Americans were very big on that, weren't they? With the energy, um, connecting people with animals and nature, and even supposedly inanimate objects like crystals and
yeah,
rocks and
yeah,
everything.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely. The thing is, that's how we survived.
Yeah.
They'd have a dream that would warn them dangers come in. Even a warring tribes on its way. They would have dreams, and a lot of the time they call it the old man in their head that warns them. So they really listen to their dreams. They
Mm,
they really listen to that intuition. Um, you find if we were bunged in the jungle or the desert, our instincts will start to kick in more. You find when
yeah.
you're in that environment. So Dave, one of the soldiers, said that part of the army training, they teach you intuition. He said one of the things they do, they dump you in the jungle. You're just dumped in the jungle. And people have said that's too harsh. I mean, you have a backpack, you've got a few things, but it's a harsh environment. And
Mm,
he said it's to learn
okay.
jungle consciousness. And he said what it is, when you first there, jungle's noisy, and you've got this sensory overwhelm. It's so much going on. He said after a couple of weeks, it seems quiet, but you hear that one twig crack, and you
Right.
know it's
Wow.
something. Your brain starts to filter and make you aware. The other thing they teach, which I found really interesting, this is the army. They teach if you're hiding and the enemy's coming towards you, don't look at them. Don't be peeping out because they'll feel you looking. And that
Yeah.
comes back to Rupert Sheldrake, the sense of being stared at. He proved people know when they're being stared at.
Yeah. And it's the same that like people say, don't they? Oh, your ears must be burning because someone's talking about you.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you can sense it, can't you?
You do. You do. You
Yeah.
keep the amount of times we all do it, and you keep thinking about someone and you've not heard from them for years, and then you hear they've had an accident or they call you up, or you just have that little, you start to
Mm,
think about them and
yeah. My
you
mum and
know something's
my mum and my auntie have got that. My mum's
mm,
a little bit psychic as well. Obviously not to your standard, but she'll know when I'm about to text her or when my
yeah,
auntie's about to call her,
yeah.
that kind of thing. So why do you think that we have lost our intuition? Why are so many of us really struggling to tap into our intuition
I
nowadays, do you
just
think?
think we've got it all there. It tends to kick in if you're having a really bad time, if life goes wrong for you, if bad things happen, and you're stressed and you're worried, your instincts start to kick in. But in our everyday life, we're not going hungry. We've got food on the table.
Mm,
Tesco's is open, water comes out the tap. We're not about to be attacked by a warring tribe. But you find when things go wrong, all of a sudden we get this intuition. We get
mm,
that intuition. We just start to know things. It's like our senses become heightened. But in our everyday life, plus the fact these days we're on our phone, we're busy, we've got so much information overwhelm and overload, we're not aware. Actually, I didn't finish saying to you, really, I didn't explain properly the manifesting. Well, what I think most people expect things to drop out the sky, um, but they're not aligned. They're not ready. it's
mm,
it's I got invited to a workshop in London,
right.
and it was about the Michael Neal. It was great. Michael, I love Michael Neal's work, and it was the Happy Millionaire and how to be And that there's a lot to be said for being a happy millionaire, 'cause a lot of people are miserable when they win the lottery, and
Yeah.
most people regret it.
And
I
they
you
lose
will
all the money.
they lose it all, and
Yeah.
most are unhappy. Most regret it. It's a funny old thing, but most of them regret it,
Yeah.
and it messes up their life. So in the audience was one guy, and they started asking, "What do you want?" And this one guy, and bless his heart, but you could see he hadn't got a good pair of shoes. His shoes were falling apart. You know, you could see the guy really didn't have much money, and he went, "I want £100 million, and I want to open centres all over the world." You can't go from that to that. It's like Stuart Wilde used to say, couple will open a pizza parlour, it does really well. So open 15, the whole lot collapses because they're
Mm.
energetically and mind-wise, they're not ready for it. They're not some people are really good at having that awareness and coping with it. I watch people sabotage the whole time.
Do
It
you?
shocks me how much people sabotage. I can watch people doing it and they'll go, I really want to get on. I don't understand why my business isn't working. You go, you're sabotaging again.
Mm. So what have you got I mean, maybe not a specific example because it might, the
Mm.
person might be listening, but why why do you think people are doing that? And
It's
have you
believing that we deserve it. Um, we worry. So, say if you win the lottery overnight, people have that thing of, yeah, my husband might turn into a playboy. My friends will hate me. What will I do all day? Because I quite like my little job and da da da. It brings a
mm,
whole load of other stuff that you have to cope with.
yeah,
A lot of people, Stuart Wilde used to say, people say to the universe, "Oh, I want to come into a load of money. Yeah, but I'm worried this and I'm worried that, and my sister will get jealous, and then my best friends won't talk to me anymore." And he said, the universe says, "Come back when you know what you want," and it that makes a lot of sense to me. Most
yeah,
people are not. If you're 100% clear, the other thing that I see people do, they deliberately get in their own way. So they'll go, I really want to have this big weight loss business. I want to be the best. I want to do that. And then they're pissing about with crystals, and then they're over here taking yet another course that don't make it. They kind of constantly distract themselves. If you
mm,
100% know what you want to do, which is what we do with FLP, find that big thing. What is it you want to do? I get that. How you're going to make it happen, but you have to get people to feel it. If they can't feel it, they just go off playing around with other things and get in
mm,
the way and sabotage.
yeah. I mean, I've read a few manifestation books, and I'm partway through Cosmic Energy. This is the one that's being re-released.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, and what keeps coming up is that you really have to feel the feeling of,
Mm,
that future where you do have the job you want, the money you want, the love of
mm.
your life that you want. You really have to feel it
Yeah,
and embody it for it to actually
and
appear.
live it. You feel it, but you have to kind of live it. So dress how your future self dresses. Who does your future self mix with? How do they
Mm,
spend their time? And when I start asking clients that, when I do a session, they go, "Oh yeah, I've got a really good plan. I'm organized. I'm doing this. I've contacted that." But all the things they're not doing now, that you
mm,
become that person. You have to actually become it. You've got to live it. It's not enough. You're feeling it's really, really important. You've got to be able to see it, taste it, feel it. But it's also, what would they be doing today? And that's one of the things I get people to do, is find out what would they be doing right now? What would be
yeah,
their plans for the week?
yeah,
What would they be doing? Not watching morning TV and not messing about with things that are not relevant. How focused are they? Who they're working with? You have to build up the whole picture, especially with the future vision coaching. We build the whole picture in detail. We really go into the
right.
detail. And the more detail you got, the got think of quantum physics. Everything is a wave particle. It's just wavy until you give it intention. And once you give it focus and intention, it becomes something solid. And that's the reality of manifesting. Once we have that, but when we're going, no, I think I'll go and do that. Oh, I think I'll go to the fifth dimension and maybe the woo
Mm,
woo unicorn. Forget it. You're all over the place. Your thinking's all over the place. You're playing with silly stuff. Um, what is that big goal? How can you rely? And once you get that and you got that focus, it just falls into place.
yeah, yeah. So have you done, I mean, I'm guessing you have, a future life progression with somebody? You've shown them this amazing future where they can
Mm,
be you know, the next big pop star or,
Yeah,
you know, the next big business mogul, and they've
yeah.
done nothing about it.
That's a good question. I can't think of anybody. I mean, there was a, yeah, I can't think of anybody. Yeah, they usually
Wow.
contact me, but I mean, they could well be. I see a lot of people, but I can't.
Yeah.
I, the difference is, I think people who come for this, they do want to know how to get on. They do. I think the
Mm.
fancy people do go off to the fifth dimension and playing with the rainbow unicorn. I think they're on all the woo-woo
Yeah.
courses, which is great, which is great. There's plenty of them. But they go and sort about with play. A lot of therapists play all day and they get annoyed because I go, you ain't going to get, don't think, you'll have a few clients, you're good at what you do, but you ain't going to get anywhere 'cause you're pissing about all day with silly stuff. You're always
Mm.
on this course and this course, it's all playing. Getting that extreme focus. Yeah, FLP, people tend to come to me because they are going to do it. We
Mm.
don't sort of attract the people. If they don't understand slipping around in time, they usually don't come to us.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes
Um,
sense. Yeah.
if by the time they come to us, they're like, no, I want this and I'm going to live it and I'm going to embody it. And we really get them to anchor it.
Mm. So then they can bring that feeling back
Yeah.
into the now. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
build a strong anchor that they can sort of shoot off every day, bring that anchor up every day, and then
Yeah.
they tend to get the results. But we tend to attract people that really are into it. The ones that play with the rainbow unicorn or whatever the latest woo-woo thing is. I've become less spiritual as time goes on.
Oh, that's so interesting,
Yeah,
really.
massively. I've just found that there was a point when it jumped the shark and it just got silly and people just believe anything. I mean, I could make up some stuff now and they'd all believe. You can, people just believe anything these days. They'll believe.
Mm.
I could make up a mad conspiracy theory. They'll all really get into it. I could make up, oh, I'm going to take you to the 27th dimension. They'll go, oh, let me believe this. They just believe anything. And I just,
Yeah.
there were, somebody said, give me an example. And I just seen this poster of this woman where everyone had to take all their clothes off, jump in water, scream, and somehow was going to watch them. And it was the most batshit thing I'd ever seen. It was
Wow.
hilarious. It was a workshop, and be prepared to scream and run around wet and naked. And I just went, yeah, that it jumped the shark. So, although I'm still around a lot of spiritual people, and I'm probably going to go to one of these sound gong thingies soon because they're wonderful, and I
Yeah,
see
they're
healers,
amazing.
but a lot of it, there was this point when people just believe anything, and I just kind of, yeah,
Mm.
just
Mm.
any old stuff, and so I kind of came away from it. But I've always been more interested in business. I've always had, I buy 5 books a month at least, and don't always get to read them all, but I'm always buying books. I've got more business books than spiritual books.
Really? So
Mm.
what would be your kind of top business book recommendation then? Because I think there probably will be quite a few people listening who
The
are
one thing,
building
the one
businesses.
thing,
The
Gary
one
Keller.
thing,
Yeah,
I've read
it's
that one, yeah. And it really speaks to what you were saying just a few moments ago about spreading your attention
yeah,
everywhere.
yeah,
And, you know, if you bring it all into one focus, then yeah,
yeah.
it just happens quicker, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Because you're not.
absolutely. Yeah, the one thing, Gary Keller, I think is the first book to read. It's an excellent book, and I go
Yeah.
and reread it every so often, and it just brings me back in line because I
Yeah.
go off target. We all go off target.
It's
We'll,
so
we'll,
easy to do, isn't there? There's so many interesting things to pursue, isn't there? I mean,
yeah,
I'm guilty of that. I'm interested in so many things, but you really do need to laser focus if you want
mm.
to really get good at something.
The thing is, at any one time, we've all got it. Should I write another book now? Should I
Mm.
set up a podcast, which I've been talking about? Should I put more on Instagram? Should I do more YouTube? Should I put on some new webinars? Should I finish this? Should I put some trainings together? Should I do a live training? Should I be traveling more? Any one time, we've all got that. We've all got. And what I did just a few years ago, I suddenly had all these things and I sat down with somebody and went, oh, God, I've got this and this and this, I've got all these options. And I suddenly turned it around that way and went, what's the most important one to get? Because while we're jumping from one thing to the other, we lose the flow, we lose masses of time.
Mm.
Turned it around that way, and it was finished the last book, Future Vision, Your Working Life.
Yeah.
That's when I was working on that, and it just get that finished because everything else comes from it. As soon as I finished that, was put the Future Vision coaching course, finished putting that together. So
Yeah.
it kind of put all my energy, the one thing, massive amount of energy into that one thing, or that focus into that one thing, you do a far better job and it's done quicker.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, that's the one book of yours that I've not read. And I think the reason I've done that is because I've been a stay-at-home mum for the last 6 years, so I haven't
Right.
kind of had a working life, so to speak.
Mm.
Obviously now I'm starting to pursue getting my own business up and running.
Great.
Um, but you touched on again the future vision coaching, and I would
Mm.
love for you to tell us more about that, if that's okay.
Yeah, oh God, I love it. Well, what happened was it was a number of years ago. I noticed a theme with my clients. This is how I love working with people in their business. I absolutely love, love, love. As I say, I've got more business books than anything else, but I love talking to people about it. Like as soon as you said, I'm getting my business going, I'm kind of, yeah, great.
Yeah,
I'm
you can
really
see you light
excited by
up.
yeah, I love people's businesses. I think it's really exciting. I love that thinking and the excitement you get with it. So I started to notice that people weren't coping. They were on overwhelm, too much information. They're trying to learn everything. And I had subscribed to all these things, got to keep on top of this, got to learn that. There's way too much going on.
Mm,
And a friend of mine had lunch with a couple of scientists, and the scientists said our brain filters haven't caught up with the time we're in. I think 20 years ago, we didn't have all this information overwhelm. All of a sudden, we got
yeah.
overload. We've got so much information, so many options, so much to do, and our brains aren't coping. Also, I could see that the world of work was changing. What's big? I had a girl come to me and she said, the last 20 years, every 6 months, I contact people, I do a mail out, contact all the companies I do work for, and I get a whole load of work coming that does me for 6, 9 months. She said, I sent it out this time, I didn't get one reply. She said, that's never happened before. And I said, this is what's happening. Something that's worked for years and years suddenly doesn't. A
Mm,
restaurant that's been there for in the family for many generations, all of a sudden nobody's walking through the door. Whatever business you're in, it is suddenly changes, and that's really unsettling for people. It's terrifying. So I
yeah,
knew the world of work, the change we've had in the last 20 years is probably more than we've had in the previous 150. I mean, huge amount.
absolutely.
We got more in the next 5. What we've had, all that change in the last 20 is nothing compared to what's coming in the next 5. 10 years' time, it's even hard to look at because the change is hard for us to comprehend. So
Yeah.
I knew we needed different strategies in order to thrive in the future. So I started to look into the future and go, what strategies are there in the future that we need now? I also interviewed a number of people who always seem to have that edge. They always seem to kind of be innovative and ahead of things before they happen.
Okay.
That they get out of an industry while it's still thriving, and they go, no, that's going to go. It's like the music industry was massive. Um, and it
Yes.
all
Yeah.
changed with one student. One student had found a way to download music and share it. All of a sudden, millions. And
Mm,
instead of saying we need to adapt because we weren't used to it, having to change the way we did business back then, they brought in their biggest lawyers. They spent millions, but you can't sue a million students in their bedroom, a million kids in their bed.
no.
You can't. So the
No.
whole industry had to be reformed because of that one kid, because it spread. And
Yeah.
that's what's happening in streaming television. You can see with television, a lot of people I work with in LA, they saw that movies are going to change, TV shows, it's going to be digital. They saw the change coming up. They
Wow.
long beforehand, um, and so they set up digital companies. And of course, mainstream TV is dying on its feet.
Yeah, definitely. We definitely don't watch mainstream TV.
No,
We
no, the
literally just
adverts.
watch
If you go around
downloads.
somebody's house, you're going, oh, how do you stand all these adverts?
I know. It's like when I go over my mum and dad's house, it's like, oh God, an advert. It looks so weird.
It does.
They're
It
so
really is. You
weird,
get
the
out the habit
adverts.
of it. So
Mm,
all this has changed in a relatively short space of time. So I wrote the book because I knew we needed to operate in a very different way. Now, some of the research that I particularly love, they found it's a combination because you've got so much information that's nothing towards what's coming. Whatever industry, and there's tons and tons of information. They said we need to find a way where we can kind of get the gist of it. Yes, I say if I give you that much new paperwork, a
Yeah.
manuscript that big. You can't study every aspect of that. It's ludicrous. They found that some people can kind of scan the information and intuitively what they need jumps out. That made sense to me because that's how I work. I can talk to
Mm,
somebody, one thing I'll go, no, that's jumping out at me. That's the thing we have to be careful of. No, no, that one thing is stuck in my mind. It's like your brain filters out and they find the
mm,
one, like the military in the
yeah.
jungle, they hear that one noise that they know is danger.
Yeah.
We do that in business.
So is that the intuition that's coming through
Yeah,
then?
yeah.
Yeah.
It's a combination of research and intuition. But I know I've always done that. I can be talking to somebody for an hour and go, no, that one thing you said. They went to 20 different places, but when they went to Minneapolis, that's I'm seeing that in neon lights. Your brain can
Mm,
filter out and find. I don't know how it does, but it can filter out that
mm,
one thing where you go, no, that's where we. And I've found people have gone missing. I've gone, no, you've told me 10 different places. They go, that's the one. I know where they are. I can, there's something there. So our
yeah.
intuition will find the bit out of them. So you scan that information. You don't sit there for 6 months reading it all. You scan it and you go, that's the bit that keeps my brain keeps bringing
Yeah.
back up and making me think about. So yes, I write about that. I write about the multiple brains, finding your tribe. You really need to know your tribe, how to get to that key bit that you need to be doing rather than doing too many different things. How do we really hone in on the
Mm,
absolute best work you're ever going to do? I mean, I've
mm.
worked with artists and musicians, and rather than say write 10 songs and two of them do well, no, let's go find the hit.
Yeah.
Let's
Because
go
that's
find
what's
the
going to
hit.
be the game changer, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Mm,
Let's go find that. Go straight to that, and that's what makes them big.
yeah. Yeah. So you do the future vision coaching one-on-one with clients.
I
Mm,
do. Yeah. What we do is once a week for 6 weeks, and that's really nice. We just kind of it's interesting because you take people out their comfort zone because especially with therapists, they keep doing what the bits they find easy. Look, the big myth, people say do something you're passionate about and that excites you. Well, that's the beginning of a business. That's the
mm,
beginning.
mm.
You build a business up. One of the big shots I work for in LA, 90% of our conversation is problems because
Right.
he's huge.
Right.
90% of it is problem solving. 90% is how to raise money for this, how to deal with that conflict, this problem, that problem. That is the reality of business. So people get all this is why therapists keep jumping to something new because they want to get that exciting buzz to begin with. And
Mm,
it's so exciting to begin with. But once it's like hard work and it's tough and it's boring, they avoid all that. So they keep starting new things rather than
yeah.
building. You go, no, a lot of day-to-day business is actually not exciting.
Yeah.
Exciting bits happen and you get that phone call, you get this, but they don't see the hard slog. But talk to successful people, they put in a lot of hard work.
Yeah, definitely. And I can imagine, writing 5 books is no mean feat, is it? I mean,
And
that's
the courses are like writing books. I mean, Future Vision coaching took a long time to put. I'm still developing it as I'm working with it because
mm,
as I'm working with coaches, I'm kind of going, oh, I could change that or strengthen that. I'm going to be tidying that up and strengthening it over the
yeah,
next year. Um, which is
yeah,
why when people train with me, I say to them, come back on again free at later date because it will be more honed.
yeah. Oh, so you train people up in how to do this
Yeah,
coaching.
yeah. I give them a whole package of information that they can take people through all the steps, every bit, the bits that are missing, the bits that they don't know are missing. What are they brilliant at? How can we find your game changer? What is the game changer you put out into the world? Is it a book? Is it a podcast? What is
Mm,
your where do you shine the most? Where are your tribe? Who are your tribe? How can you find them? Rather than sit
mm,
there hoping people are going to show up and find you. Where are they? Who's the greatest mentor for you? And collaboration, we're going to collaborating. And a lot of my work, when I collaborate with the right people, I had a meeting yesterday in Notting Hill with Bunby, and we're going to collaborate on something to do with addictions.
mm.
Because addictions are a major, major problem this
Huge.
day. She's written a book on addiction. She's really slick on the subject. I've got all the past and future material and a lot of research. So I think the two of us together can put
Yeah.
collaborations are really important. So we help people find their collaborators, their followers, their mentors, the future
Wow.
them that's already there, the bits that are missing, the bits they might be avoiding. If you're avoiding it, maybe you get somebody else to do it, you know, if it's something you don't
Yeah.
like.
Yeah,
So
true.
we build the whole thing and we really hone it. So it's really exciting. I've just come back from teaching it in Dubai. It was great, went really
Dubai,
well.
amazing.
Yeah,
Gosh. I've never
yeah.
been to Dubai before, but it looks incredible. And everyone I
Go,
speak to who goes
go,
says it's
go, go. It's heaven. It's absolutely, I adore it. It's so positive. It attracts positive people.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
it always has done. Amazing people go there. The Brits that go there are always very positive. They work hard, play hard. They all do something good that you
yeah,
don't know about at first, like rescue animals or help kids. Or they all have something nice they do. Yeah, really,
yeah.
such a positive, innovative, and futuristic.
I do get a
Cool as
sense of that, yeah, that it's very optimistic.
very optimistic and
Mm,
very forward thinking. It's
mm,
always forward thinking, always thinking of making the world more positive, coming up with a new way to make the world more positive. It's great. I absolutely love.
yeah,
I love the Middle East anyway. I
yeah,
really do love the Middle East, but yeah, Dubai's magical
yeah.
place.
So the future vision coaching would be amazing for there, wouldn't it? Be with all the innovators that are out there. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. We'll also take it into companies. I get asked to come into companies because I, what I particularly like doing in companies, I find it so when I left school, which was so many decades
Yeah.
ago,
Keep the number to
you,
yourself, eh?
it was a long, long time ago, but we'd root for the company. And if the boss said, look, I can't pay you anymore, can you all work a bit late because I've got to get this whatever out the door? We'd all do it. We all rooted for the company and we all work together. People don't now. They're very disjointed. They don't care about the company they work for. People
Mm,
are, there's a lot of toxic energy in the workplace that I've come across in the last 6 7 years. It's been shocking, really horrendous toxic bullying. um,
gosh.
and so to bring people together in the company and get them to want you all to have this vision, we're doing meditation to find the future of the company. What's the best way forward? What's your part to play? And finding their best future within the company, you start to get people back as part of a group and a bit more work
Mm,
and not so much stabbing each other in the back, and just more
yeah.
focused, but actually caring about companies. So I love going into companies. And one I did with a big sales company, and that was in South Africa, and I did a tour. That was great fun. And they have massive sales teams, massive, massive sales. So I'd go to a big hall full of people and I'd get them to visualize the next, because they bring out new products every month. Uh, what is the next big product? One that's going to be the huge seller, and you get write it down. You all take part. You write it down. You hand it in. Put your name on it, and if you're right, you win a big prize. So that was nice. So
Wow.
they knew what product they were thinking. Should we go with this? And they weren't so keen on this one particular product. That one, that one, that one. This other one, quite a few people went, no, that's the biggie, and it was. So
It was, wow. Gosh. I mean, it's just got the power to be so
yeah,
incredible to
yeah,
transform a
yeah,
business, hasn't it?
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
what do you say to people who find out about this and they're like, "Oh, it's really woo-woo," and they're really
Yeah,
skeptical, like my
I
husband.
don't really try and change people's minds. I just think everyone's got to come in where they are. And
Yeah.
the thing is that there's massive amount of science, but we tend to attract the people that get that you can slip around in time, that you can mind travel. If they ask me a sensible question, I'll answer it, but I'm not out to change anybody's mind. I mean, I might say to them, look, read this or study that, but or I might give
Mm,
them a couple of examples if they ask a sensible question. But I don't really go out my way to change people's minds because, for some people, it's uncomfortable for some
yeah, and they're
people.
just not ready to kind of hear
Yeah,
this all this stuff, are
yeah.
they?
Yeah, but yeah, you get some people just don't see the world that way. But there is a huge amount of research that you can mind travel. You get Rupert Sheldrake again. He said your brain is inside your skull, but your mind can travel anywhere. And the
So
remote
true.
viewers, I mean, remote viewers, I mean, they're main thing is to be able to see what's happening somewhere else. So if there's that happening in South America in a particular place, they can send their mind and see what's happening, or they can find
Mm,
something that's missing. They can target, and they're absolutely brilliant. But some of the top remote viewers have said it's just as easy to see the past and the future as it is to see where things currently now in other places. And the mind can
yeah.
travel, and they've got plenty of examples.
Yeah. And that's exactly what this is, isn't it? With the
Yeah,
future life progression.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, no, I am excited by work. As you mentioned, I'm really excited about the future vision coaching, because I just know people need it. I just know that I think in a way I feel a bit for people, because they go off, they spend a lot of time and energy and
And money.
effort into training something. 6 months later, everybody else is doing it. Everybody else
Yeah.
is doing it, and then they'll just think, why am I getting the work? Why am I not getting the work?
Mm,
And it's because there's too many. Look how many hypnotherapists there are, how many people doing Reiki.
Reiki.
Something
Yeah.
new comes out, everybody rushes off and does it. So when you take it as, so a family member of mine, we're going back again a lot of years, and he was just starting out in computer, but in an arty way, visual way. And he said, I could set up websites. People are going to want a website. Of course, now everyone gets their nephew to do it, or they just do it themselves. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't. I go to a professional because I think it's a mistake to do it yourself personally. But people do, or they get their nephew to do it. I said to, and we looked at the option. I said to him, "No, you go to do towards 3D and animation." Of course, he's huge in that now, and one of the
Wow.
best in the country. And that's the
Wow.
thing. It's knowing now everybody's going to be doing that in 6 months or a year. That's the bit
Mm,
for you. That's the way to go. What's going to really be good for you? What's going to be your success? Where's
yeah.
everybody else going? And how can you just not be one of the herd? And I feel for
Yeah.
people, because I see them spending a lot of money and effort and wondering why they're not getting the business in.
Yeah. Well, you touched on this made me think of it when you said about the guy, the computer guy. Have you seen how AI is going to go in the future? Because I find this really interesting. My husband is a computer programmer, a software developer,
Yeah,
and him and his colleagues, not so much him, but some of his colleagues are concerned that their jobs aren't going to be kind of safe in the future because AI are going to be is going to be doing it all. Have you
yeah.
seen in the future anything about AI
Been
and how
talking
that's
about
going to
AI
affect
for a long
humanity?
time, and it'd be really good if he could come into London once a month. There's a dinner, AI dinner, and it's a
Okay.
group of AI experts that get together, have dinner, and get a guest speaker in, and they're geniuses. They're incredible. I mean, they had a speaker a few months ago, and when there was a poll of the top AI people, he was second only to Elon Musk. I mean, we'll get some
Gosh.
amazing speakers in, but the contacts you meet, I've been talking about AI for a long, long time. Yeah, you should be worried. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is over the next 5 years and 10 years, everything's going to be unrecognizable. What the key phrase for him to know is, you won't lose your job to AI, you lose your job to somebody using AI. So that's how he needs to think. That is the
Yeah. Yeah.
key point. AI, yeah, you have to kind of be aware of it and think, how can I do something amazing with it? How can
Mm,
I do something amazing within your niche, within your industry? What can you do with it? Yeah, it's going to transform. Some of it's
mm.
scary, a lot of it isn't. A lot of it is innovative. It's good and bad, like there would be with
With
anything.
anything,
There's
yeah.
I know a lot of the big names, like Elon Musk, said a little while ago that all the progress is so fast with the AI, which is what I've been saying for so long. It's so fast, that they should put a halt to it. And then we've all just said, well, if the major countries say, no, we're halting this, it just means the bad guys are going to keep developing it
Exactly,
and
yeah.
use
That,
it not necessarily for the right things. So no,
yeah.
you have to go
We
with it.
need to keep
Otherwise,
up.
yeah, to keep up, but to make sure it's used for the right things.
Mm,
AI is everything. It's everything. I'm just personally, I'm super excited by it and fascinated, and I've been for a long, long time. I do think there's dangerous bits, but yeah, no, he needs to change his thinking. When you get around to reading Future Vision, get him to read it. 'Cause I did interview innovative people. Thomas
okay.
Power, he talked about AI donkeys years ago, and he used to say to me, "And we'll be part robot." And I used to go, "Oh, don't be silly." And now we're seeing people change it. And the things he said are really, really, really happening. Really, he often pops at
Yeah.
the AI dinner. But yeah, I've interviewed people that, including Thomas and his lovely wife Penny, because they always have been focused on this for a very long time. And I want to
Mm.
interview some more AI people. Yeah, I'm blown away by AI.
Mm.
Um,
I think I'm of the same ilk actually. I think it could be really powerful for the human race because it could really free us up to be
yeah,
more creative and take away some of the mundane, menial
yeah.
tasks that, we could get a computer to do for us.
Well, Elon Musk said it just means they're different types of jobs. It
Mm.
just changes the types of jobs. It just means
Yeah.
that we there'll be new things. He said we will need more workers than ever, is what
Yeah.
he's saying, but it's in very different
Just
roles. So
different. Mm.
this is why we need to be anticipating the future. We need to
Yes.
anticipate the way forward. And I did a little poll a little while ago online where I said, if you could have a computer chip to sort of improve something within yourself, maybe your health, would you? And people just freaked out, went, no, 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 no. I went, but if it could improve your health, and I think only four people popped up and went, yes, I would, but they were all people that had serious illnesses. So
Mm.
you can see there's that point when if you broke your back and you're in a wheelchair, or you've gone blind, or gone deaf, or something horrendous, or you've got a loved one with dementia and they could have a chip that would just bring their mind back, yeah, we'd do it. And
You'd go
people
for
say,
it.
no, I wouldn't, no, I wouldn't. No, you would. No, you would.
Mm.
I
Definitely.
absolutely,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. My prediction, I haven't talked about this before, but and I will make a video about it. What I see is, if you're not chipped, you're left behind. I think there'll be brain enhancing chips that'll
Wow.
make you calculate much faster. Everything you'll be. It's a bit like when you got the Olympics, those on drugs win. That's why you have to have drug tests, because athletes say it's so unfair because they're winning. They've not been tested, and
Mm.
if I just compete as a normal person, I'm left behind. I see that with chips. I think that it's almost that superhuman element
Right.
will
So are
be
they
there.
are they going to be able to make our brains kind of process quicker then?
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Everything. It'll be everything. The calculation. You'll be able to calculate. You'll be able to process that health wise, physically, whole range of things.
Wow.
It's a funny thing, because then you'll have the haves and have nots. Because obviously, if you're in with the right people or you have money, it's funny because I was talking to a friend of mine recently, and she said, we're all at an age now where you can see the women that have got money look younger because they can afford to have a few tweaks and things.
Yeah.
They look young. The women that haven't really look old. And
Mm.
we were just out, and there was a bunch of women at the next table, and you could really see the ones that had money and hadn't. And it wasn't
Mm.
that frozen, da da da. You could just see that they had a good haircut, and they'd had a few
Yeah.
tweaks, or they'd had a facelift, or a bit of Botox, or whatever it was, good
Well,
skincare.
they can
You could
afford a
see the
personal
difference.
trainer.
Yeah, personal trainer, the whole bit, eat better, the whole
Mm.
bit. And it is a bit like that with the chips. We will AI will be able to scan your body, tell you exactly what you need. They're starting to bring that in. They thought of doing it at Dubai Airport, actually, to scan your body and go, you're not
Gosh.
coming in, you're about to have a heart attack, off you go.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. Or let's get you to a hospital, whatever they're planning. Yeah, so I think AI is phenomenal stuff. I want to spend more time looking at it. For
Mm.
me, for research, it's phenomenal for research. But yeah, tell your husband, come down for a weekend and come. I think the
Yeah.
next one's 26th of March. Two of you come
26th of
down.
March. Yeah, I'll jot the date in my diary. I'll have a word with him.
They do it once a
Yeah.
month. They get some amazing speakers in who are actually working with AI, are actually innovative. But the contacts you make, then you become part of a WhatsApp group, and and they've often said, and there's no egos there. I mean, I don't know what they're talking about half the time, because I'm not educated, so I don't know, and they know I don't. But they just go, yeah, but everybody comes in at their own angle. Everyone
Yeah.
comes at their own
Yeah,
angle, and
true.
you always learn loads from it. But yeah, the people there are really, really interesting. You become part of a group where you can always ask a question, and they're so helpful. Um,
Mm,
yeah,
mm.
they really connect with you and bring you in, and yeah, they're a lovely group. I really, really like them. All so polite, and I've
Yeah.
done FLP on several of them.
That's what I was just going to ask. Have you done any future life progression
Yeah,
with them? Yeah.
yeah, a couple of them have, I think 3 have come up to me and gone, I really would like to do a sessions. I've done sessions with them, and I've
Yeah.
seen the future of their work, but also the future with what they're working with, because they have all these things in development. Yeah, that's been
Yeah.
really interesting.
Gosh. Well,
Yeah,
that could
really,
accelerate it even quicker, Anne, couldn't it?
absolutely. Yeah, yeah, and
Mm.
find out what the competition are up to, what other developments are on the way. Yeah,
Yeah. Exciting.
it is. It is.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much for coming on. It's been absolutely amazing.
Oh, thank you.
How can people find you, Anne, if they want to work with you or follow you on Instagram or?
Yeah, it's just if you look up, and if you get my name, there isn't anybody else with that name. So yeah, if you look up Anne Jirsch, annejirsch.com, futurevisiontraining.com. I'm there. So yeah, look me up. Look up Anne Jirsch and you'll find me. I'm not shy. So, well, Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and LinkedIn, and say hi and say hi. And I've sent you over a link, for people to see their future home, because that's the one people want the most.
Mm,
I've got
yeah.
others, pop up, ask me, I'll send you one.
Brilliant. Oh, that's so great. Well, I'll put all of the links to everything that Anne said in the show notes, including the future dream house. Is it like a visualization or a meditation
Yeah,
or?
it's a little meditation where you see future home. 3 times I've moved into properties I'd seen. I had no idea where they were. And one of
Wow.
them was quite an unusual property. It hadn't been done before. So,
And you
you
saw it
know,
in your vision.
yeah,
Oh, there you
yeah,
go. That's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah,
Fabulous.
lots of
Thank
people.
you so much again for coming on. It's been
It's been
absolutely
great.
brilliant. Thank you.
We'll talk again. Take care.
Definitely. Thank you.